Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where it seems that unlike the real dinosaurs, this franchise can't be killed off, no matter how big the Rotten Tomatoes meteor. Yes, there had been some concern, reasonably so, that even though Fallen Kingdom had made $1 billion, it was so poorly received that it might hurt the next installment. Like, everyone had to give that movie a try, but fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, right? Then there's also Jurassic World Dominion's own poor Rotten Tomatoes score, so bad, the worst of the franchise, and controversy surrounding one of its stars, Chris Pratt, who is having trouble getting work outside of his two big franchises, you can't deny that, getting mostly voiceover work, and a new streaming series from Amazon, thankfully, which I do suspect will do quite well, but he's not getting a lot of movie work outside of the Jurassic and Guardians of the Galaxy franchises. And Guardians of the Galaxy is about to come to an end, so that's a little scary. Yet here's, for him and his team, yet here's Jurassic World Dominion, not hurt by any of that. It did great. The big win for Chris Pratt. Opening on par with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom with pretty much no drop in performance at all, at least so far. Because yes, it's early days to know how Jurassic World Dominion is really doing because there's that crucial second weekend drop. But out of the gate, it might not be a Giganotosaurus or even a T-Rex, but it's definitely that Therizinosaurus. These names are nuts. They're not made for selling merch. Some of you are like, I can say it. But anyway, Therizinosaurus, who was awesome in the movie. I love that dino. Way cooler than the Giganotosaurus, quite frankly. I guess it is kind of easy to say. But anyway, that's a trio or trilogy of dino movies for Universal to be very proud of. Here's something interesting. Universal, even though, we're always talking about how it's the one studio that actually could take on Disney, although they have very different PR machines. But Uni doesn't have a single prestige franchise, with Jurassic, Fast and Furious, and Despicable Me all maligned by critics. Even the Bourne films ended up rotten before they stopped. And that's, I'm sure Uni wishes they still had that franchise. Although to be fair, critics and Hollywood are turning on a lot of franchises these days. So this might be the fate of everyone eventually, as big franchises are squeezing out all the other movies. They used to be able to peacefully coexist, but talk about ruining an ecosystem. All right, that's what Jurassic World Dominion is about. All right, so also to be fair though, Uni's franchises do very well with CinemaScore, the most reliable audience score in the biz. Why? Some of you can't stand this. I'll tell you. Audience scores on other sites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb rely on fans to be motivated to come to them to enter scores. And sometimes trolls are real motivated, and you have a whole swath of moviegoers who aren't really online. A number of you love to say Twitter is not real life. And movies like this, I think, are a good sign of that. So CinemaScore goes to the actual theater. They go to theaters across the country. They do spot polling in person. And I know that spot polling in politics is, of course, proven to be unreliable as of late. But CinemaScore, it's been around for decades, and it's really been consistent in that it accurately projects the longevity of a movie based on the score. That's why Hollywood uses it. The higher the score, the more longevity it will likely have at the box office. But anyway, they do an old-fashioned survey with a little piece of paper they ask you to rip. It's quick and painless. It's anonymous. So is the other sites, but you have to go create an account. Anyone can do it, and it's not at all reliant on being tech-savvy. That allows them to get a very good idea of how audiences actually feel about a film. Speaking of non-tech, again, Twitter's not the real world, Jurassic World Dominion did most of its business as walk-up business, with 58% purchasing day of, meaning people, again, didn't bother to purchase tickets in advance online, something that many people who dominate the online movie discussion do. So that really means that the people who are seeing Jurassic World Dominion aren't part of that group that controls the online discussion. Fascinating! There's always the question of the silent majority, which is a big term in politics as well. Anyway, it's also worth noting, I have to say, with his third film for Uni right around the corner, Jordan Peele might become their one prestige franchise. Critics love him, and so do audiences for the most part, although the CinemaScore for us was not good. He's going to need to bring that back up for Nope. With his first two films, this is fascinating to me, they both made $255 million worldwide. The exact same number. And they did it off of very low budgets. He got a much bigger budget for us, but it was still just $20 million. But Jurassic World Dominion wasn't cheap, costing $185 million before advertising. And they advertised it a lot. In fact, when I watched, I'm back on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But I was very annoyed that for the entire show, because Bravo is owned by the same conglomerate, they had the logo and they were like in 2 days. And I'm like, I get it. It's ruining the feel of this show. Take it off the screen. But they're like, we don't care. Look how much money we made. All right. So anyway. But it was worth every penny, that money, because audiences love them some dinosaurs. And the nostalgia play is still a very strong play for Hollywood. Audiences were delighted with the return of Sam Neill and Laura Dern, who stepped right back into their iconic roles. Didn't miss a beat. And 2 new characters of color, DeWanda Wise and Mamadou Athie, who I thought were both fantastic in the movie, and Omar Sy, who also returned, not a new character, but returned to the franchise. They gave Jurassic World Dominion very broad appeal. 41% Caucasian, 25% Hispanic, 16% Black. That number could be a little bit higher for a big movie, but I think that's a step in the right direction. I think a really strong film has 20 to 30% Black in terms of the audience. 15% Asian and 5% other. I know some of you don't like breaking down the demographics of the audience, but this is how you make money in Hollywood, by having broad appeal. So it's very important to see connecting with all these different audiences. Also, 54% male, 46% female is an excellent split thanks to Jurassic World Dominion's multiple strong female characters who are really fantastic. Jurassic World Dominion is the second highest opening of the year. Take that, haters, behind only Marvel's Multiverse of Madness, and it beat out the Batman and Top Gun Maverick debuts. I mean, I'm not saying the film doesn't have its flaws, it certainly does, but that last half is very, very strong. It's still a good time at the theater. It's also doing healthy, if not strong, business overseas, trailing the first 2 Jurassic World movies, yet beating out projections, which I think were undercut because of how poorly received, at least in online, Fallen Kingdom has been. And it's doing great business in China. Hoo boy, already the top Hollywood movie there for the year. In China, the only Asian character in this movie is like kind of the bad guy. No spoilers, but I mean, they've not allowed other movies from Hollywood into the country for much less for the same situation. So China is real mercurial when it comes to letting in Hollywood product these days, but Uni don't care because they're making bank. As for that crucial second weekend drop next weekend, Jurassic World Dominion will be going up against Lightyear for Father's Day. Jurassic World Dominion did best in the West and Southwest, where Chris Pratt was likely, I think, a positive factor. Yet here's Lightyear dropping Tim Allen, who actually is very similar to Chris Pratt in many ways, in terms of fan base, for the more liberal Chris Evans. That to me is fascinating. Not to mention the message and content of Lightyear. So I'm very curious to see how Lightyear performs at the box office, going up, and with audiences who maybe are not happy with some of the things that Lightyear says, having an alternative to go and support Jurassic World Dominion. It's fascinating to me. The 2 movies are splitting the premium screens, with Lightyear only getting afternoon showing. So if you'd like to see Lightyear on a premium screen, you'll have to likely see a matinee. Pixar forgoes a straight nostalgia play for trying to make an old brand new. This is a fascinating comparison. So Pixar is like, we're not going to bring back Buzz as you knew him, so it's only partially a nostalgia play. Instead, we're trying to reinvigorate a brand for a new generation and a new audience. And you're like, but what about the audience that still likes Buzz Lightyear the way he was? While Uni is stuck to its guns re Pratt and the World franchise, not changing anything about those movies, and then bringing in the OG characters exactly as the audience remembers them. I can't wait to see these 2 movies go head-to-head next weekend. I'm sure no matter what happens down the line at the box office, though, Uni will make another Jurassic movie. There's just too much money here. Maybe not a park or a world, but certainly a new trilogy, kick off a new trilogy. And I'm pretty sure almost all these characters will stay. I said the movie was too crowded, but also I don't know who I'd cut because I love them all. Maybe they could do a spin-off movie or something. Maybe they could do a show on Peacock. Let's see. Although some of them might have to take a break because director, writer, and producer Colin Trevorrow is already discussing Tim and Lex in interviews. Because everybody's like, where's Tim and Lex? Ariana Richards was even at the premiere for Dominion, and Joseph Mazzello, as we always discuss, is a working actor. After Neil and Dern turned out so well, Uni and Trevorrow must realize that bringing in Tim and Lex is the next step. But you got to keep Dern and Neil as well. You got to have the whole team and Jeff Goldblum. I mean, that would be incredible. And I think that will likely, I don't think people are going to want to use the world characters, but I'd love to see the original cast fully reunited. Oh, I get chills just thinking about it. All right, as for the rest of the top 10, Top Gun Maverick looks like it's going to fly past Multiverse of Madness, bosom, any day to become the highest grossing film of the year domestic. It posted another epic hold in its third frame this weekend, adding another 50 million and is racing towards 400 million. Basically getting to 400 million in half the time it took Multiverse of Madness to do that, 3 versus 6 weeks. But don't fret too much, Marvel fans. Worldwide, Multiverse of Madness still has a good 200 million or so on both the Batman and Top Gun Maverick. But, Batman's done. But Top Gun Maverick, let's see how much they can close that distance. Will either of them get to $1 billion? I don't think Multiverse of Madness is going to do it, but Top Gun Maverick could. And of course, there are plenty of other movies coming out this year. But we still have one, hit $1 billion in 2022. Also, despite hitting digital, Everything Everywhere All at Once is still doing pretty good. While for some reason Firestarter jumped over 700%, it still only pulled in less than $1 million in its fourth week, but that is a weird jump. I couldn't find any reason for it. You can even still watch it on Peacock. Have you heard anything? I know some of you work at theaters, so I'd be curious if something happened to make people decide to go check out Firestarter in its fifth weekend. Also on Friday, Sony announced that they are re-releasing Spider-Man No Way Home with an extended cut. Some of you were like, didn't you learn from Morbius? But that was the exact same film. This is an extended cut of No Way Home for Labor Day weekend, which is wide open despite Shang-Chi doing big business there last year. You think someone else would have capitalized on that weekend. Sony's like, we got this. And as I tweeted, there have been rumors for a long time, right? Like right after the movie came out, or even I think right after the movie came out, that Sony was going to release a longer cut to try and join the $2 billion club. But everybody in the Scoop community felt that it would be released prior to the digital and hard copy releases. But that day came and went, with fans wondering where the heck are the deleted scenes. Now you know. Now you know, as many of you suspected after they weren't on the digital and hard copy release. Word is they'll be folded back into the movie for that extended cut. They're not going to tack them on at the end. They're going to be in the film. Many fans, though, are angered that they've already paid for the physical copy for their collection. So did Sony wait too long? We'll see. But I think the deciding factor will be just how much new content we're talking about here, as fans did feel a little cheated on Toby and Andrew's screen time, particularly Toby. There's more Toby. I bet some of you, it'll eventually go to streaming, but it's Sony. They don't have a streaming service. So it'll have to go to theaters, then it'll go on digital for sale, probably. Then it will go to Netflix, and then way down the line, it'll go to Disney Plus. So I don't know if you're going to wait that long, quite frankly. Piracy could be a problem for that. With the announcement, many fans also said, do Multiverse of Madness next. And I think that's a great idea. That hits digital and Disney Plus, though, June 22nd. So it might be, the timing might be, so keep that in mind maybe if you decide to buy the physical copy of Multiverse of Madness. Maybe wait, maybe see. I don't know. It's unlikely that Disney would do this, although there's so much missing from that movie. I think an extended cut, the Raimi cut, as I've been saying since the movie came out, would print money. Methinks Feige will be watching the Spider-Man No Way Home re-release very closely. Then on streaming, as always, we start with Nielsen for a couple of weeks ago, the second week of May. Moon Knight did not get a binge boost after wrapping up its season, plummeting to number 9 the week after, but at least it's still in the top 10. While Netflix's Ozark and The Lincoln Lawyer continue to dominate. And Outer Range from Amazon is still in there. Good for that show. Amazon shows, with the exception of Reacher and Mrs. Maisel, we're kind of like poking their head in there. Same with Hulu. But we've had a hard time anything outside of Netflix and Disney Plus stick around for a couple of weeks. So that's a very big win for Outer Range. As for movies, Encanto has finally been unseated, but it's a week before Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers came out, and it turns out it's Rebel Wilson, good for her, who took the number 1 spot for Netflix with her new movie Senior Year, which debuted that week, followed by another new movie that week, true crime doc, Our Father. Encanto's still number 3, though, but Turning Red, it seems, is starting to genuinely lose steam. It had a great run, though, but, we're just keeping an eye on how these movies are doing. And new movie Operation Mincemeat also did some nice business for Netflix. I watched that one. It was okay. But Disney Plus usually dominates the movie list, like Netflix has had shows and Disney Plus has had movies. But Netflix, with a surprisingly strong library of other studios' content yet again, and then some pretty strong originals, they pushed Disney to only having 3 entries this week in the movie top 10. As for Netflix's charts for just the week before. They're just a week behind. It looks like Chris Hemsworth and wife Elsa Pataki are Mr. and Mrs. Netflix, at least when it comes to action movies, with her new actioner easily claiming the top spot. While A Perfect Pairing and Senior Year are also both still doing strong. Senior Year just popped into Nielsen, but it's been over here on the Netflix charts for 4 weeks. Nielsen, they got to be a little faster. And over in series, Nielsen's like, there's nobody else. We can take as long as we want. And over in series, Stranger Things is dominating, with season 4 continuing to break viewing records and bringing in new fans, it seems, because you can see that people are catching up or revisiting the first 3 seasons. It's taken all top 4 spots. Did you catch up? Did you just jump into Stranger Things now and catch up on any of the seasons that you might have skipped or missed? Or did you rewatch them to get, they did a little before on Stranger Things. That's a lot to rewatch, but Netflix desperately needed a big success, and this is it. As for iTunes right now, Everything Everywhere All at Once was #1 all week when it debuted on Tuesday, yet here it is unseated, darn it, with Downton Abbey, A New Era, just hitting digital this weekend and taking the #1 spot. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once, Downton Abbey is also still in theaters, but unlike other uni movies, it's not on Peacock just yet, just digital at a very high price point, even for rental. I don't know why they offer a rental for like $3 difference. I guess some people are like, hey, it's $3 cheaper. And the unbearable weight of massive talent continues to suffer not just from a very bad title, but continuing to go directly up against fellow quirky movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. They had the same problem in theaters. I don't know why on earth it was released the same time on digital. That just seems, they should have tried to beat Everything Everywhere All at Once by a week, quite frankly. The original Top Gun is still in the top 10, while fans are also, as you can see, catching up with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom for this weekend. As for this coming weekend, Father's Day weekend, make sure you got a gift for Dad. This is going to be a big weekend. Not only at theaters, because Lightyear, Pixar, finally back at the multiplex, and they're eager to prove themselves, going up against Jurassic World Dominion. But streaming, it's been a little slow on streaming, but this is a big week, particularly with some really strong original movies. So we start off tonight with the Tony Awards, airing not only on CBS, but also Paramount+. While on Wednesday, Love, Victor hits not just Hulu, but now it joins Disney+. But Disney+ really needs to stagger these release dates like Netflix. This only releasing stuff on Wednesday is getting old real fast. How did you feel with Obi-Wan and Ms. Marvel on the same day? I thought it was a disaster. Especially because who knew Obi-Wan would be so bad? I guess, you would think Disney would know. But anyway, that was a mess. I hope that they look at that and don't do the same thing with Andor and She-Hulk. They're like, this didn't work out for us. Then on Thursday, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Then on Thursday, season 2 of Rutherford Falls on Peacock. There's a new comedic docu-series on Paramount Plus called Players, which focuses on the world of esports. Jeff Bridges has a new series, The Old Man, starting on FX. And then HBO Max has the excellent reimagining of Father of the Bride hitting their streaming service. That looks excellent to me. I think that's what my family's going to watch for Father's Day. We're very excited about that. And on Friday, Amazon Prime has 2 new series, The Summer I Turned Pretty and The Lake. And Paramount Plus, they have a great original movie too. I'm definitely watching this as well. Jerry and Marge Go Large, with Bryan freaking Cranston and Annette Bening playing 2 retirees who become professional lottery players, I believe based on a true story. How has that not been advertised at all? It's ridiculous. What's Netflix got? Of course, Netflix has an awful lot. On Tuesday, the already controversial J-Lo documentary Halftime debuts. Then on Wednesday, a new docuseries about different lies that people believe on the web. And then on Thursday, yet another project from Melissa McCarthy and her husband Ben Falcone. Why? Who is watching these? They do well. It's so maybe it's like a train wreck. You just can't look away. And on Friday, Spiderhead, starring Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, and Journey Smollett, directed by Top Gun Maverick's Joseph Kosinski. That could be big. Let's see if it's any good. And that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching, and what do you plan to watch, especially for Father's Day? And what do you think of Jurassic World Dominion's huge opening weekend? Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.